This is a DVCPro. It's an expensive, well-made piece of machinery capable of recording just about anything. It's what you'll be using to familiarize yourself with the medium of the industry you are pursuing. There's an entire world out there, but before we report on it, let's make sure we know the equipment we'll be using. The DVCPro is a fairly heavy piece of equipment. Under most circumstances, the first thing you'll want to do is get it on a tripod. For this, you'll need the tripod plate to be in position. Glide the plate along the grooves on the bottom of the camera until it locks tightly. Docking the plate with the tripod sometimes causes problems for students. Just be sure to rotate the plate lock knob until it's loose enough to press down. Then, simply center the camera on the groove and tighten the knob. This will keep your camera secure until you choose to loosen the knob and are ready to take your camera off again. To allow the removal of the tripod plate, pull the lever on the side of it. Go to the lower inside part of the camera. Flip the switch to the on position instead of the off. If this doesn't work, make sure the proper battery is correctly installed in the battery pack and that it is fully charged. You can check the battery power by looking at the second number in the upper right of the viewfinder. A fresh battery should read between 13 and 16 volts. Looking through the viewfinder at your subject for the first time, you most likely have a blurry image. Zoom in all the way before you begin to focus. Focusing this close ensures that anything wider will also be in focus. Rotate the focal ring until you have a clear image in the viewfinder. Should you zoom in on something closer to you, however, be sure to readjust the focal ring to your primary subject's depth. This may cause distant objects to become fuzzy, but will allow your camera clarity in the proximity of the new subject. If you're planning on moving around with the camera, the key to keeping everything in focus is zooming in on the furthest subject away from you, focusing, and zooming out completely. You are then free to walk around without fear of fuzzy shots, just as long as you don't zoom in again. To get an extreme close-up, however, the outer focal ring will not do the trick. In cases like these, it is necessary to adjust the macro focus. It's the ring closest to the camera. Using it, you can focus on objects down to a centimeter away from the lens. Once in a while, a clear image cannot be achieved even after following the correct procedure of zooming in, focusing, and zooming out. This is most likely because someone has forgotten to put the macro back in its locked position. If you still have problems after locking it, make sure the ring next to the macro is screwed down to line up between the F's on the macro ring. One of these images looks a bit better than the other, right? It's because it's been white balanced. White balancing makes certain that your subject maintains its natural color. Make sure the AWB setting on the inside of the camera is on memo. This will allow you to white balance manually by filling the camera's view with something white and holding the white balance switch in the upward position. Do this until the camera registers the new color temperature. Different sources of light have different color temperatures. Sunlight has temperatures of 5,000 plus. Fluorescent light has temperatures of about 3,400. Studio lights are about 3,200, and incandescent bulbs register at about 2,500. Make sure the color temperature roughly matches the light source being used. Sunlight at midday is much bluer than light from fluorescent bulbs. If you were to go outside and white balance your camera on a white sheet of paper, then move inside, you would find that your subject would be unnaturally yellow. Conversely, if you were to white balance inside, then move outside, your camera settings would make the image bluer than normal. For every location change, white balance to avoid getting distracting picture color. The way the camera receives light is through an iris. An open iris allows a lot of light to come in. So if you have an overly light shot, the aperture should be stopped down. Sometimes even the highest aperture setting is not enough to deal with intense light. In this case, lift the neutral density filter into the upper position. This will filter out some of the overall light. To ensure that you don't still have areas of excessive light, the DVCPro has something called zebra mode. Turn it on to identify areas that will appear washed out on your final product. They will be marked with white lines. Adjust the iris ring until they are absent from your subject. In an overly dark shot like this, go ahead and adjust the iris ring so it is set to a lower number. Lower numbers indicate a wider opening and more light. Some situations cannot be fixed with iris adjustments. In situations like these, your best bet is to actually light your subject. Obtain a light and stand kit for considerable boost to your light levels. If you're illuminating a person, set it up so there are no harsh shadows on your subject's face. If you don't have access to a plug, rig up the eye light contained in the DVCPro kit case. Screw it atop the Pro, plug it into the battery, and be certain that the light control switch is on. Keep in mind, the eye lights drain batteries pretty quickly when left on, so plan your shot before you turn it on. On the DVCPro, there are microphone inputs. The microphone is connected to an XLR cable which is connected to your camera. When you plug your mic into the back, go to the side of the camera and make sure the mic select is on rear.
When the microphone is connected, you'll see a series of audio levels. They'll fluctuate depending on how high or low the volume is. The important thing to remember is to never go past the first plus. If you do, your sound has the potential to distort and not sound very good. To control the levels, use the knobs on the side of the camera. If the levels are too low, increase the volume. If the levels are too high, decrease the volume. It's that easy.
Using these level indicators in a pair of headphones, you can pinpoint the right volume. Included in the DVCPro kit is an omnidirectional microphone.
So what do you think about this?
I mean, it's...
This type of mic picks up sound in all directions and has an on-camera range of a few feet. Also available are tie-tack microphones. The wired tie-tacks have about a 15-foot cable that connects to the camera.
And that's how you make chicken parmesan.
This mic will keep your hands free. There is a wireless version of the tie-tack as well. It has two components, the receiver and the transmitter. The microphone connects to the transmitter and is worn by the person you wish to record sound from. The receiver is connected to the camera and, as the name suggests, receives the sound from the transmitter. Both parts need to be on with fresh batteries.
Back to you, Ken.
As you can hear, the microphone is capable of picking up sound as far as 50 feet away without any loss of quality. If the subject needs to move around a lot, the wireless tie-tack is the way to go.
You could also wire and record two people at once, each with their own controllable soundtrack. Keep food and drink away from the camera. Having them near the camera is just asking for trouble. Also avoid dust, vibration, heat, and water.
Wow, that's really amazing.
I can't believe learning about the DVCPro could be so much fun.
Don't I know it? That's the news for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.